Good morning or good afternoon, COVIDians. Sadly, even after the ceasefire, the atrocities by the Israelis against Palestinian civilians, even worshippers in a mosque in Jerusalem, don't stop. This morning I read of a young girl and her father who were beaten by Israeli forces somewhere, I believe, near a mosque in Jerusalem. And I said in a post, supposing the news story began with the words, "A group of black uniformed SS men beat a young Jewish girl and her father this morning at the entrance to the Warsaw ghetto," or in German, "Ein Gruppe schwarzer uniformierter SS-Männer hat heute Morgen das jüdische Mädchen und ihr Vater Eingang zum Warsaw Ghetto geschlagen." Now that's not very good German, but I just wanted you to hear the words in German and imagine the words in German appearing or being announced in a broadcast message from the Nazi Ministry of Propaganda and News. So, the victims become the perpetrators. We see this all the time now. The victims are becoming the perpetrators. They're beating up a young girl and her father outside a mosque. Nonetheless, of course, the Labour Party stands because our friend Mr. Starmer, the Knight of the Realm, stands with Israel and her people. You're not going to see much. Well, you wouldn't have seen much of this at the weekend on the ordinary media. Of course, you wouldn't have done, but yeah, you're seeing that on here. Sorry about the colours; they're just not very good when held up against the screen on the camera. But that's what we saw at the weekend. But tell me, how much of that made mainstream media? Yeah, very little, I would imagine. Yeah. This poor little fella, from a person whom I know, put a picture and said, "A message to Israel from a Palestinian baby. I'm not a terrorist." Well, perhaps they thought he was, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not a terrorist. You're not, son. You're not. You don't deserve that, but I don't suppose it really matters to the Israelis, does it? No, not at all. Somebody put on here too, which I think is very important. Yeah, going back to where I began with those black uniformed SS men, yeah? Now, as the Jews themselves know, the world stopped Nazism. They'd know that. They'd also know, many good Jews know, the world stopped apartheid. The world must stop Zionism. Be careful if you post this on a Labour Party site or whatever, because you'll probably be expelled from the Labour Party. But the world must stop Zionism. It just has to. It's got to stop. Yeah, it has to stop. These are Zionists that are doing these things. Palestine, South Hebron. There's a comment here from my friend Jonathan. A group of Israeli occupation soldiers beat up a little girl and her father. That was what I was saying at the beginning. And also beat up a woman arrested from Al Tawana village south of Hebron this evening. Yeah, they beat these people up. Yeah, they're beating up children. Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're beating up children. The occupation forces are beating up children. Look at this though, yeah? Resilience. Remind you of Londoners during the Blitz. Resilience. a Palestinian barber as Israeli warplanes destroyed the only place that supports his family. The only place that supports his family. That's where he made his living. But he's not giving up. Yep. He's cutting hair in the street. Yeah. Think about it. Because all this will very, very soon go from the media. People often say when they get angry, don't you? Do you want a piece of me? I want a piece of you. Do you want a piece of me? Yeah. Well, here's a person who certainly does want a piece of everything. You'll recognise the face. He wants a piece of all of these places. A big piece of the Middle East. Yeah? He wants a big piece. I want a piece of me. He wants a piece of Lebanon, a piece of Jordan, a piece of Syria. They all want a piece of those things, don't they? And the West has been quite happy to let them get away with it. My friend Darren says, thank you for resolutely standing with and supporting our right to terrorist attacks. Who are the terrorists here? Yeah? Who are the terrorists? Yeah? Israel, I would say. Going to end this one fairly soon, but I just wanted to amplify something perhaps that I had said in the other one that seems to have had a few views recently. This is on the line of right-wing evangelical Christians always will support Israel. Yeah, always will support Israel. Now, the reason they will do that is that they believe, along with some Israelis themselves, that God has given them title to that Palestinian land they've invaded in 1968, the land they've stolen, the land they've taken away from these people, the land they will no longer let these Palestinian people come back to, the land on which they poison their wells, kill their olive trees, yeah. But there are some Christians in all countries, in all walks of society, there are some Christians who actually read the Bible, the Old Testament, as you know the Jews would call that, the Torah. They read, and not all Jews, as I've said before, read this in the Torah, but they read into it that the war between the Arabs and the Jews and whatever will be won. The holy war will be won. The Jews will be victorious on the battlefield at Megiddo. Apparently it means Mount Giddo, Megiddo. Some US Christians take little Holy Land bus tours over there, and they believe that it is there. The Arab tanks will be coming across, and God will be fighting back with angels, flaming swords, and hands will come down from heaven. They will push the Arab tanks back. Jesus will appear again. The world will be over, and even some of the Jews will be converted to Christianity. They will see Christ as their saviour. Now, I have never, ever found anywhere, unless I read the Bible very, 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 carefully, not even carefully, unless I read it with a particular agenda in mind. I read it with a particular agenda in mind, yeah? I've never found anything to say that. They'll always quote the Revelation of John, the final book in the Bible, the Revelation. They'll always link it to Israel becomes a nation. They'll always link it to the end of the world stuff. They always do. I want you to just bear in mind several things. They've been doing that probably since the days of the Roman Empire. I want you also to bear in mind that there was a lot of dispute when the canon of the church was established about whether or not to even include the revelation of John of Patmos, by the way, not John as in the gospel writer John, but John of Patmos. And I believe even for the evangelical Christians out there. I believe dear old Martin Luther. Yep. Also, if read up what Martin Luther said about Jews in his little black book. You want to see some real anti-Semitism? Read some Martin Luther in his little black book. But reading the Bible that way, I can't read it that way. I don't see that's got anything to do with the end of the world, and certainly not the the absolute establishment of the State of Israel, the possession of Temple Mount and all that lot by the Jews. I don't see that. Well, it's burbled on a little bit, but please don't let this drop out of the media. Yeah, I'm glad there's a ceasefire, but this can only be resolved by a free and independent Palestine, and that is what I support. Bye.